Good evening, I'm Carol Bundock. 1 in every 5 vacancies for head teachers is going unfilled. Teaching unions say it comes down to the workload, the responsibilities and the continuing education reforms imposed by the government. But in our region, schools are solving the problem by sharing heads. Andrew Sinclair reports.
So we've got one, yours are jumping, yours are laughing.
If it's Tuesday, it must be Hainford. Judith Elliott-Hunter isn't in charge of just one school, she runs 2.
I divide my time more or less equally between the schools, but prioritising if there's anything special happening, making sure that I'm at each school for a whole day and then some half days, and that I'm at each school for anything special that's happening or if I'm particularly needed.
Hainford First near Norwich is what's known as a partnership school, and Mrs Elliott-Hunter is a partnership head teacher. Her other school is a 5-minute drive away in the next door village.
It's made them much less vulnerable and it's made them remain the centre of their villages, which I think is the most important thing.
But do they get a proper service from a head teacher if you're dividing your time between 2 different schools?
Yeah, they get better than proper service, I think, because instead of splitting myself in 2 and having a teaching commitment and a management commitment, which I had before, it means that I'm doing the same job in 2 different places.
There is twice as much paperwork. She says the key to success is being well organised. There are currently 22 partnership schools in Norfolk. More are planned.
Does it work, sharing your head teacher?
Well, I found it has. You know, it's really been quite successful.
She does actually do it quite well, actually. She's always backwards and forwards from one school to another.
We found that by putting schools together, then we can get the benefits of very good headship and leadership, and we can keep schools open close to their local community.
Norfolk was one of the first authorities to introduce partnerships. They've been judged so successful that other parts of the country are now following suit. In Suffolk, they've just started the experiment at 4 schools this term. In rural areas, this could be one of the solutions to the head teacher crisis. Andrew Sinclair, BBC Look East, Norfolk.
More than 40 firefighters went to the scene of a house fire in a village outside Norwich. Crews were called to a thatched cottage in Mulbarton this afternoon. 9 appliances and an aerial platform were deployed. No one was injured, but the fire caused severe damage to the property. Luxury flights to America are being introduced at Stansted Airport. There'll be 2 new services to New York for business and first-class travellers. The business class service will be run by MaxJet Airways, with 1 flight a day costing £600 each way. The controversial musical Jerry Springer the Opera is coming to Southend and Norwich as part of a national tour. There were demonstrations by some Christians when it was broadcast on BBC 2, and it attracted a record 63,000 complaints. Fumes mean fines, at least in one Essex town. Councillors in Braintree are the first in the country to bring in on-the-spot fines for drivers who leave their engines running too long.
Braintree is pretty typical of many market towns. There are many things you can't do, many restrictions, and soon even doing this for too long could land you in trouble.
If it stops everybody and makes them more aware, then that's a good thing, isn't it, surely?
Not being disrespectful, but I think it's a bit of a weak case.
They weren't going to do it when you were supposed to get the traffic lights, I presume.
No, they're not going that far, but taxis would be included. And on the rank today, signs this could prove a heated debate in more ways than one.
It's a good thing, I suppose, if it's unnecessarily running, but if it's cold, then you need to be warm, don't you? Because that would be, well, hopefully they're allowed to do that anyway, are they?
It's very extreme, but it's the future of our planet that we're looking at, and every little counts. Just by cutting exhaust fumes and pollution in Braintree, if this catches on in our own overcrowded little island, this day Braintree, next day, you know, the world, who knows?
Supporters of the move say there are many major issues on pollution which need to be tackled, but smaller scale problems can't be ignored.
We face a huge range of problems, a lot of them to do with the air and what we're doing to it, putting pollution into the air, and really people have a right to breathe clean air, and that's really at the bottom of what this policy is about and wider policies, and the more we can do to further that, the better.
Today, the RAC said it thinks the idea makes sense, but believes drivers need greater clarification on how it'll work.
Developers are facing a race against time to complete the new Chapelfield shopping centre in Norwich. The complex has taken 3 years and £275 million to build. It's due to open tomorrow, but today more than 2,000 workmen were still busy.
Naturally, this is the nature of retail, that we get a tremendous amount of activity leading up to the opening, and of course we do have an army of cleaners that are providing that final sparkle for the great opening day.
In football, Norwich City eased into the third round of the Carling Cup tonight. The match finished Norwich 2, Northampton Town 0. Chris Gorham was at Carrow Road.
A goal in each half proved enough for Norwich to go through to round 3 of the Carling Cup. It was by no means comfortable, but the Canaries did enough. Nigel Worthington made 8 changes from the team that beat Ipswich, and they struggled to settle against the spirited Northampton side. Darren Huckabee converted a debatable 33rd minute penalty after he'd been fouled. Huckabee limped out early in the second half, and his replacement Dean Ashton made the game safe with 13 minutes to go. An opportunist strike turning in Jim Brennan's shot. So the result, no surprise, but not as convincing as the scoreline suggests. Norwich City 2, Northampton Town 0.
So to the weather, and it'll be dry and clear overnight with some fog patches developing. Tonight's low 10 Celsius, and tomorrow a fine dry day with possible cloud and warm spells of sunshine. Top temperature 21 degrees Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit. That's it from us now. It's back to Hugh for tonight's closing headlines. Good night.